Determining ARV is one of the most important skills a new real estate investor must master. It's one of the key components to creating a great offer. So in today's video, I'm gonna teach you exactly how to determine ARV on a home using Propstream. If you are new to the channel, my name's Justin Wrong. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur here in Las Vegas. I've made hundreds of videos teaching people about real estate, and the goal of this channel is to help you grow your money and mindset. Also, if you wanna see more personal content, follow me on Instagram at Justin Wrong. Also, I want to warn you that as of January 2022, Propstream stopped showing MLS data for non-disclosure states. So if you are planning to use Propstream to determine ARV on these homes and you are in a non-disclosure state, I want you to take everything I say with a grain of salt because I'm using Propstream to calculate ARVs and to comp properties. And if you do not know whether or not you're in a disclosure state or a non-disclosure state, I'm going to put up the list of non-disclosure states on the screen for you to view and for you to pause the screen just so you can look at before I get into this video. That being said, even if you are in a non-disclosure state, you can still learn a ton from this video and you can apply the concepts of comping out properties to determine ARV, whether or not you're gonna use Propstream or if you're gonna use the MLS or some other platform. So everything I will teach in this video, you can still apply. You just cannot do it on Propstream if you are in a non-disclosure state. So let's get right into it. So what you're looking at right now on the screen is Propstream. If you've never used it, this is exactly what it looks like. And just to find a property to get an ARV on, let me give it an example property right now. So I'm gonna use a property that I'm familiar with, 056 East Mono Street, just as an example. So I'm gonna use this property. It's a property in Fresno, my market. These concepts that I'm gonna be teaching can be applied to any market though. So if you're gonna be entering the property address, you enter it in, you press enter, and then you come up to this screen right here. Once you're at this screen, you're going to click details right here. Then the next thing that you are going to be looking at to comp a property and find the ARV is this right here, comparables and nearby listings. So all we're doing is trying to find recently sold homes that are similar to our property, similar in specs as far as bedroom count, bathroom count. And the reason why we are trying to find homes like this is because we wanna know what our home is gonna be worth after we fix it up so that we know what it'll sell for once we fix it up. That's the whole purpose of this exercise. That's what we're doing. So I just wanted to explain that before I dive right in. So now we're at this page, comparables and nearby listing. So the first thing that you can see immediately is you have a list of 7 properties that you can look at. It's gonna be different for every single property because some properties might have more comparables than others, but we're looking at 7 and how these are filtered are by these results you see right here. These are automatically filtered to things that have sold a year prior. So as of today as I'm recording this, it is March 3rd, 2022, and it pulls all the homes that have sold since March 8th, 2021. So it goes back an entire year, and that's what these properties are filtered by. They are also filtered by square footage, and how these are auto-populated is it takes the square feet of the subject property, so this is our property that we're trying to find the ARV on. The square footage on this property is 752 square feet, as you can see right here. And how this square footage is auto-populated is it takes plus or minus 20% of that square footage. So it takes 752 square feet, and it goes plus 20% of it to get to the 902 number, and then it goes minus 20% of that to get to the 602 number. The next thing that auto-populates in Propstream is the distance away from the subject property. So right now it's filtered to 0.5 miles, meaning any property that has sold that is similar, that is sold within 0.5 miles of our subject property, it will show up in these search results right here. So these are just what's auto-populated. And the first thing that I try to do is be super specific with these search results and make them more specific than they already are. So instead of doing a year range, I immediately try to find the properties within the last 3 months. So I'm trying to find comparable sales of homes that have sold within 3 months. So if I'm trying to do that, all I do is I click this right here, the date range at the beginning, and I shorten it to 3 months ago. So right now it goes by month, so I'm gonna move it from March 2021, and I'm gonna move it to 3 months prior, which I'm just gonna click this 9 times. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it moves it to December. And if it's March 8th, I'm going to December 8th. So I moved the date range to find homes within 3 months. And this is the first thing that I do because I'm trying to find recent comparable sales. And if there are no good comparable sales that happened in the past 3 months that I can find on Propstream, which is the case here, if you look at the screen, no rows show up. So there's no properties that have sold within the last 3 months that Propstream deems by these characteristics to be good comparable homes. So the next thing I do is I make the date a little bit extended out to move it from 3 months sold to 6 months sold. So now I go back to this date and I'm gonna go backwards 3 months. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna go to the 8th. So now I'm looking at homes that have sold within the last 6 months that are within plus or minus 20% square footage of our property and within 0.5 mile distance. So once I have that, I always try to make the searches more specific. So I'll even go to the bedroom count and the bathroom count to try to match our subject property. So what I'm looking at right here, I'm looking at a 2-bedroom home and a 1-bathroom home. This is our subject property. And what I'll do in the search results right here is I'll just change it right here. I'll go to bedrooms. I'll look for specifically from a 2-bedroom home to a 2-bedroom home. So I'm specifically trying to target a 2-bedroom home. If I was okay with looking at up to 3-bedroom homes for comparables, I would change this 2 to a 3. But because I'm trying to find specifically properties that are similar to our property and the most like our property, I'm just gonna try to stick with the same bedroom count of 2. Same thing with the bathrooms. This was a 1-bathroom in the home. I'm going to try to stick with that. So I'm gonna go from 1 bathroom to 1 bathroom. So what we're looking at here are 2-bed, 1-bath homes that have sold within the last 6 months that are also plus or minus 20% of the square footage and within 0.5 mile radius of the home. So what I do from here, I think the first thing that I really do is I just look at these price points just to see what these things have sold for. So what I'm looking at here is a potential comparable home that sold for $155,000, one sold for $235,000, one sold for $210,000, one sold for $175,000. So you can see that the range is quite large. So the first thing that I usually start with are one of two things. I'll either start with the highest comparable home, because typically the home that is sold for the highest amount has the most upgrades to it, which means that it's most likely gonna be a good comparable home to figure out what a home is gonna be worth after you fix it up. So typically I'll start and look at the highest price comparables first, but another thing that I'll do is I'll look at the map, because I want to see where these homes are located just to make sure that they're actually in a similar area as my home. So I wanna make sure that these zip codes are similar because I don't wanna compare a home in a different zip code than my own. So if any of these homes were in a different zip code, which does happen often, I would be very hesitant about using them as comps unless they just seemed like a really good comp. But for the most part, I'm sticking within the same zip code to compare homes. So I'm looking at these prices, I'm looking at the zip codes, and I'm also looking at the map. And I look at the map personally because I know my area, and sometimes homes are worth more when they're on a different side of a main street versus being on the other side. So that just comes with experience, but I guess if you're just starting out, just stick with looking at the highest price points and looking at the zip codes to making sure that you're in the same zip code. So again, the first thing that I'm gonna be doing to try to find a good ARV comp is I'm gonna look at the highest comp I can find, which I can see is 235,000 right here. If I had a big list of comps, like if I was looking at 20 comps, then you can always filter it by the amount sold. So if I click this thing right here, you can filter it by the amount sold, and you can see that it filters from lowest to highest. And you can click it again just to filter it from highest to lowest. So you can always do that, but it automatically filters to this option right here. How do I go back? Oh, it automatically filters to the distance of like whatever is closest to the home, but you can always change what these homes are ordered by just to make it easier on you to look at. So if I wanted to, I can change the amount because I want to look at the homes that have sold highest first. So I'm gonna look at this $235,000 comp, and I can look at the details by clicking details. And then the first thing that I want to make sure I see is I want to make sure I see this MLS detail option. If I can see that there is an MLS details option, I know that this home was sold on the MLS, which makes it a good comp, a comp that I want to use. If you ever pull up a potential comparable home and it does not have this MLS details option, I typically don't use it. It just means that a home is sold on public record, but not on the MLS. And the reason why I stick to the MLS comps is because that's what you're using when you eventually list the home. So for example, let's say you fix up a home. It's all fixed up and you're going to list the home. How you determine the price is you're going to rely on your realtor. They're going to give you an idea of what your home can be sold for, and they're going to be using the comparable homes on the MLS, not public record. So if you want to identify a good ARV from the start, it is much smarter to use the MLS comps versus just public record comps. And if you're still a little bit confused on that, let me just show you exactly what I mean. So let me go back to the other tab and let me pull up a different comp that I believe is not on the MLS. And I just know this because I've done this comp already. But if I pull up this one right here, as soon as I pull it up, I want you to pay attention to the screen. Notice how you do not see MLS details right here like the other one, because on this one, you see MLS details. On this one, you do not see MLS details, and there's no pictures. And usually when it's on the MLS, you're gonna see pictures as well. Not all the time. But if I do not see that this home was sold on the MLS, I am not using it as a comp. Maybe I'll keep the price point of this home in mind just to give me an idea of what the home might be worth, but I'm definitely not gonna be using it as a good comp for the ARV. So make sure that when you comp using Propstream, that you have this MLS details section. This is exactly what tells you whether or not a home was sold on the MLS, and if it's sold on the MLS, it's going to be a good potential comp to use, as long as everything else checks out. And here's everything else. Once I make sure that this home was sold on the MLS, the next thing that I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna click on the pictures. I wanna make sure that I'm looking at a home that is either fixed up or modern enough so that I know that I can fix my property up to that condition and demand the same price that that sold for. So if I look at the pictures, outside looks pretty nice, you know, there has grass. Exterior looks pretty nice. Nice red door. Let's see, this shot looks nice. Yeah, this looks really nice. So like, for my market at least, every market's different, but this looks like a recently flipped home, to be honest, unless the person just took care of it extremely well. And so we see these nice countertops. The cabinets look all new. Stainless steel appliances. We hear lighting looks good. Windows even look new just from the pictures. They might not be, but let's just keep looking at these pictures. So you can determine for yourself what you kind of see in this, but from what I see in my market, this is what a flip looks like. So this is what a home looks like after you fix it up. And I don't know whether or not it was flipped or not. It probably was, but even if it wasn't, it doesn't matter. So if I just keep looking through all these pictures, I wanna make sure the whole home is in this kind of condition, because sometimes they're not. But for the most part, it looks like the home is in great condition overall. The backyard isn't fixed up, it's just no grass, which doesn't mean it's a bad thing. All that tells you, if you see a backyard with no grass and the home is on like super nice on the inside, it means that you can do the same thing to your home. So you can fix up the front yard and the inside super nice, and you can probably do nothing really to the backyard if it looks like this, and you can still demand the price that it sold for. So that's all I'm gonna be looking at. So I see this. This actually is a really good ARV comp, and I'm gonna go back to this screen. So what I'm doing now is I saw that the home sold for $235,000. I also wanna see where it's located on the map, just to make sure for myself that it's in a similar area, because sometimes they're not in an actual comparable area. So we're still in the same zip code. This is number 2, so I can go to number 2 on the map. The red is our subject property. So if I zoom in a little bit by clicking the plus sign, I can see that the subject property is right here on Mono Street or Mono Avenue. I zoom out, and the comparable home that we were looking at was on number 2, right here on Balch. And it doesn't cross any main like intersections. And for me, like I know my area pretty well. That's pretty much like the exact same area as this thing. So in my eyes, this is a really good comp. I also wanna look at when it actually sold. So this thing sold on 9/17/2021. Again, like I said before, as of today, it's 3/8/2022 today. And so this sold within the last 6 months, about 6 months ago, actually. And so 6 months ago, a recently renovated property might sell for $235,000. And so what that tells me is if I were to buy this property, as far as the one we're analyzing, 4056 East Bono Street, if I were to buy this today, and if I were to fix it up to at least the condition that's similar to what we're looking at right here, that means I would know that my home would sell for roughly around at least the $235,000 that we were looking at. And the reason why I say at least is because as of right now, in this market, homes have been climbing like crazy in price. So I know that if I were to fix this up now, I could demand $235,000. And of course the market can change, but probably not that much that fast. And I could, it might end up being a lower price, but if I were a betting man, I would say that the ARV of this home is around $235,000. So even though I got lucky on my first comp and the first and the highest comp was the best comp, like a really good ARV comp, I still want to make sure I look at the others just to see what they sold for and just to make sure that everything makes sense. Because for example, if I'm looking at this and I see that this home sold for $235,000, super nice condition, and then maybe I see another one that, like, what if this $175,000 was in the same kind of condition? If it was in the same kind of condition, super nice, renovated, and it sold for $175,000 around the same date, 9/16 versus 9/17, I'd be a little bit more hesitant about kind of figuring out what the ARV is. So I want to look at everything just to make sure that I do my due diligence and I do my research accordingly. So let's click the next highest one, the 4027 East Liberty Avenue. It sold in October, sold for $210,000. And if you scroll a little bit more, you can see that the square footage is roughly the same. Year built's even the same. The first comp we looked at is actually the same subdivision, which is great. And I'm finding this information by just scrolling a little bit to the left. And it's 0.4 miles away for the second one. So let's click the details on this one. So click the details. Again, what do we look for first? The MLS details. And we got lucky, there's another one. So another one's marked as MLS detail, so it was on the MLS. And if you ever want to look at the description of the home, you can see the description that the realtor had listed right here for the marketing remarks, just to give you an idea of what it might look like. And it looks like the pictures aren't loading. So look at this. If I click the pictures from the MLS are not transferring, but no worries there. What you do now is you're going to copy this right here, copy the address, Command C or Control C, whatever device you're on computer-wise. You're going to add a new tab. You're going to paste what you just copied. You press enter. So you're Googling it essentially. And then I just like to look at Zillow. So Zillow usually has the pictures when Propstream doesn't. So if Propstream doesn't have pictures, oops, not like that one. If Propstream doesn't have pictures like what we were just looking at, just copy the address, put it on Google, find it on Zillow, and then you can look at the pictures. So let's look at these pictures. Really nice home. Again, actually let's start from the beginning, just so I can give you my perspective. Looks nice. The front yard is not, like, there's no landscaping, so the landscaping is not that nice. It looks okay. Look closer, okay. Not as nice as the first one that we looked at for sure. The flooring looks nice, but I don't know if it was recently done. It doesn't look like it was. Lighting's not as good. It's more yellowy. Blinds look old. Let's see. Not bad condition. Definitely not bad condition, but it's not like the first one, as you can probably tell. And so I'm looking at this. This looks older. Was that green? Why is that green? What is that? I don't know why it's green. Just keep looking. Okay. Countertops look older for sure than at least what we looked at the past. That might be like a granite or something like granite. The appliance doesn't look as nice, but that's not a good angle of it. This hood is not modern. So these appliances don't look as modern either as the first one. Yeah, so we're looking at that right here. Cabinets are still nice condition. You probably can make it look nicer just with upgraded knobs or something like that. That looks outdated. We don't see these colors in modern flips or modern colors anymore. Those are like, that's green. Usually in my market, I see a lot of light grays, as of right now. Of course, that'll change if you're watching this 10 years from now, but so, older, all the lighting's older. This looks older, the tile, not as new. That's outdated. Flooring looks nicer though. That probably can be like buffed or something to make it look nice and new. This is all outdated. So it's like nice condition, but it's not modern for sure. Not up to modern standards, not up to that like HGTV level standard. Backyard. Backyard's kind of the same thing as what we saw before on the other one. Look at these other pictures. That's odd. Okay. And I'm just getting an idea of what everything looks like. Oh, is that a carport? Oh, it has a carport. So it has like a, if you don't know what a carport is, it's where you can park a car and there's a structure that's like a garage, but it's not a garage and it's outside. Oh, it has a carport. That's pretty cool. So I don't think the other one had one, but it was definitely not as nice of condition as the other one. So if we go back to what we were looking at, the one without pictures on Propstream, and we go back to the price. So this sold for $210,000, the thing that we just looked at, all those pictures. The nice one that we saw first sold for $235,000, and it was in much better condition than this first one. So in my opinion, this price and this price combined makes sense. Like, it's telling the same story. So it's saying that if this home that we just saw, the $210,000 home, if it was nicer and in better condition, using logic, if you fixed it up a little bit more, made it more modern, it should sell for around that $235,000 number. So that's all I am doing here. My best comp so far, and what I think it's gonna be the best comp because it's the highest price, it sold for $235,000, and we found that off the bat, but I still wanted to look at the others to make sure that they're still telling the same story. So let's look at this other one, this $175,000, the next highest. So let's go to the details. Next thing, it was on the MLS. So you can see this MLS detail option, which is great, so we can use it. So let's look at the pictures. Okay, so it's just exterior pictures, it looks like. Doesn't really tell much of a story, not a lot of pictures, so let's look at the description. So when I don't have a lot of pictures, I usually rely on the description from the realtor. So the realtor said, cute 2-bedroom and 1-bathroom, single family home, perfect for an investor or first-time home buyer. So typically when someone says perfect for an investor, I usually don't expect it to be like a super nice renovated home. When someone says perfect for an investor, usually it's like a beat up home. So I'm gonna take that and like as a hint, and it says with a 2-car detached garage on that kind of lot, waiting to be restored. Okay, so it's saying the home is waiting to be restored to its splendor, meaning it needs work. Like someone needs to come in and fix the home up. And that's also probably why they don't have a lot of pictures up. So it's drive by, submit your offer. Okay, so what we just found out from here is this. So we go back to this first tab and we find out that this thing sold for $175,000, the thing that we just looked at as far as the marketing remarks in the description. And we know from that description and kind of the pictures by assumption, we know that the home needs work. It's made for the investor, meaning it needs work, it needs that tender loving care or TLC, as you might have heard. And it's also telling the same story as we found from the other 2 properties. So if you were to put a lot of work into this home and a lot of love, you probably could get the $235,000 price point. So everything so far is telling the same story. Let me just look at this one just to confirm the last one. I think we already did in this video, but we just go to the details. And the last one sold for $155,000 and there's no MLS detail, so I'm not gonna use it. It's not an MLS comp, it's just a public record comp, so I'm not gonna use it, so exit out. So what I found out from this property, just looking at this property right here, I can very confidently say that the ARV of this home is right around $235,000. Of course, as more time passes, that might differ and you might get higher price point ARV or maybe a little bit lower, depending on what happens with the market. But if I were to decide today, if I were to buy this property today, I could reasonably assume that if I were to fix this property up to at least this condition that we were looking at, then I could get a price point of $235,000 when I sell it. So that's exactly how I calculate my ARV. And again, whether or not you're using Propstream or not, you can apply these same exact concepts, whether using the MLS, Zillow, or something else. Like, just make sure you're looking at like properties and you start super specific, and if you can't find any comps that are super specific, you slowly broaden out, and you broaden out again, and again. So that's how you find comps to get a proper ARV on a home. Hopefully you learned a lot from this one, and hopefully I was able to break it down enough so that you can understand this really easily. Also, if you want help to grow your real estate business, whether you are brand new or if you already have deals under your belts, DM me the word coach on Instagram at JustinYou'reWrong. Peace.